Hey there, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the F League Starters podcast. We're here to discuss what's been happening lately in the NBA. I guess I should be more specific. We are here to discuss trade deadline, teams, what they've done up to this point from start of the season, from all the way back to the off season until today. What have they done? How has it affected their team? How are they looking? Are they going for the number one draft pick or are they going for a championship? So we have an Excel sheet made up that shows you every move a team has made since the start of this previous offseason, including any front office changes that team has made. That does include general managers. It's just general managers and head coaches, such as, if anybody recalls, Brian Ciangelo. Ciangelo? I don't remember how to say his name. The guy in Philly who got fired for releasing private information about his players. So, I think we should get into this. First off, before we jump into this, some of these transitions might look a little choppy. At the moment, I do not have two monitors. I'm working on figuring that out. Um, but the transitions should be able to show you guys the Excel sheet I'm working with, and you'll be able to see everything I see while we talk about it. Any teams that you're looking forward to talking about, Kyle? Because I think we're just going to go in
Um,
alphabetical order.
Honestly, I'd say the 76ers.
The 76ers made hella moves.
That's one of the most important ones.
I think because it does give you a number at the top for the number of trades that the team made. I think they made 11. So that's going to be interesting to look at. So, with all of that said, let's get this going. And we are going to start with our first team, the Atlanta Hawks. Let me zoom in for everyone watching. The Atlanta Hawks had 6 trades. Obviously, the most important of which we'll talk about first. Um, but I kind of want to talk about the coaching situation. They got rid of Mike Budenholzer, sort of. It was more or less they told Budenholzer, "Hey, this isn't working. You're a good coach, but this isn't working." And he said, "Yeah, okay." Or I think it was more. I don't think he got offered an extension, and he said, "Okay," and he left. They brought in Lloyd Pierce. I don't know who that is,
Neither do I.
but it's the Hawks. They still suck. So,
Pretty much.
trade number one this season. They gave up Luka Doncic for Trae Young.
I remember that now.
How has that panned out?
The Hawks are idiots.
Luka Doncic obviously coming out showing off that he obviously does have the experience he needs. He is a high caliber player. He's been proving it time and time and time again. Trae Young, not quite. Trae Young is developing nicely. I do want to point out he has improved. Team build, I can kind of understand wanting Trae Young over Luka Doncic, but if you're the Atlanta Hawks, you really don't have anyone. So I can understand the hype coming around Trae Young, why you might think Trae Young's a better player than Luka Doncic, and then there were the concerns with Doncic. Is he actually experienced? Is it just because he's over in that league? How's it going to translate? And it translated a lot better than a lot of people thought. But
For sure.
to that point, no matter what, you are going to get shit when you make a trade like this because now everybody's pointing to the front office going, wow, you guys are terrible. And I think we'll see that as we go down the list. Um, Trae Young, I didn't like him in college, probably because I'm a KU fan. I didn't like I did like watching him during March Madness miss all those shots. His team should not have been in March Madness because was he Oklahoma State or was he Oklahoma? I can't remember.
I believe Oklahoma, but I'm not too sure on that one.
Either way, his team made it, and the other of those two teams did not, even though the other team won their head-to-head matchups, so they should have made it because he was a spectacle. It's all about money. March Madness threw his team in because it's Trae Young. You need the money. You need to cattle around the guy that everybody's calling the next Steph Curry, and he hasn't panned out that way. So let's move on to the next pick. Devonte Graham, drafted, traded away. They got back some picks. I'm not listing specific picks. I'm not listing the cash considerations, what they were worth or anything. I'll just have it simply stated as picks, or in this given column, I'll list nothing if it wasn't a player. So they gave up Devonte Graham for some picks. Now Devonte Graham has been that's a KU player. He was drafted early second round, I believe, earlier middle second round, and he hasn't developed as quickly as the teams would have liked. But I like him being on Charlotte better than I would have on the Hawks
Me too.
because the Hawks are slowly becoming the last 3 years of the Brooklyn Nets. The Hawks are transitioning to that where they'll just take the bad players in and clearly they don't learn. So I'm happy to see Devonte Graham out of Atlanta. That's all I'm gonna say. The next trade is interesting. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Isaiah Cordinier. I don't know. He was given to Brooklyn for Jeremy Lin. Eh, Jeremy Lin's an okay player. He definitely wasn't going to get any more play time in Brooklyn with D'Angelo Russell there. I don't know who Isaiah is. I think there were obviously picks in this trade also that Atlanta had to give up, but looking at this list, I think that's the only okay trade they had, in my opinion. You have anything to input on that one, or you just want to move to the
I
next one? I
just
mean,
move on to the next one. I have nothing more to
it's two players you don't care about. This next one you'll care about.
exactly.
Dennis Schroeder went to OKC, I believe. Well, no, I know he went to OKC. Mike Muscala, I think, went to Philadelphia. They gave up those two players and they got back Carmelo Anthony and Justin Anderson. Now, Justin Anderson, okay. I don't understand it, but you know, whatever you're trying to do over there in Atlanta, it's okay. Let him develop a little bit. Carmelo Anthony was confusing, and obviously he's been everywhere now. His career is probably over, which sucks. He's one of my favorite players, but as far as I can tell from what I've heard, he's cancer in the locker room. So we'll we'll take what we can. Um, Next up, they either gave cash or picks, but they got Jabari Bird from Boston. Now, I actually heard a decent amount about Jabari Bird, but that was during the off season. I haven't heard anything about him during the season. I don't know how he's been doing. I don't really watch the Hawks, so I'm looking at these names, not really knowing what the hell's going on with them other than Trae Young. So, and then the last trade, they gave up Tyler Dorsey for Shelvin Mack from Memphis. I think that was a trade more from Memphis' side, but whatever. You want to get off Atlanta?
For sure.
All right, let's
They
move on
made
to the
some
next
dumb
one.
decisions.
They
So
did. Boston only made two trades. And this first one, I'm an OKC fan, you guys. I have to say I like this first trade. They gave Abdel Nader to OKC for Rodney Purvis. Abdel Nader not doing great, but he's not a bad player by any means. Uh, Rodney Purvis, didn't even hear his name until I heard about this trade. I didn't even know he was on my favorite team until he got traded away for someone I did know about. So I'm fine with that. And then the Jabari Bird trade to Atlanta for picks, or just a single pick. So that's how unimportant Jabari Bird was. He was given up
pretty
for
much.
one pick. And yeah, Boston hasn't really made many moves. Obviously, they're looking playoff bound anyways. Making moves when your team is set up this well is probably not the best decision, so I can understand them kind of staying low key with these front office moves. The next team on the list is Brooklyn. They have made 5 trades this season, one of which has been really good for OKC in the long run. Uh, these are interesting. Brooklyn traded away Hamidou Diallo and Timothy Mozgov, and they received Dwight Howard. So that was interesting. Timothy Mozgov, if I'm not mistaken, is still a contract bomb. So I don't know what's going on with that. He's mostly thrown into these trade deals to get a star player and then to give to a team that wants to unload for the offseason or wants to use him in a trade for another star player. So that's really the only reason we see his name there. The next trade was Jeremy Lin for Isaiah Cornier to Atlanta. We know that one. Isaiah Whitehead for Kenneth Faried and Darrell Arthur. Is Kenneth Faried as scary as he once was? No, not really. Is Isaiah Whitehead as good as his contract makes him out to be? No. Who the hell's Darrell Arthur? I don't know. But
Neither do I.
yeah, but that's the trade that went down, I guess. It was a trade with Denver. Denver's looking nice. They weren't using Kenneth Faried or whoever the hell Darrell Arthur is. So I guess it's a fair trade. I'm not sure how much they've used Isaiah Whitehead, but they've been, in my opinion, one of the most exciting teams to watch, the Denver Nuggets. So I'm waiting to see
I do
them
want to say
in the postseason.
that Kenneth Faried, while he's been on the Rockets, he's gotten he's averaged 16.3 points. So I think his potential was there in Brooklyn, but they did not use him right.
Is he on the Rockets now?
Yes,
I don't have that trade
he's
on
been
here for
killing
some
it.
reason.
It's they just signed him. It wasn't a trade.
Oh, it was a release and free agent signing. That would be
Yeah,
why. I
but
don't have free agent signings loaded in here. So yeah, they released him for cap space, which I guess it makes sense. Brooklyn's on the come up right now. D'Angelo Russell has been insane. So excited to see the future for that kid. I liked him on the Lakers. He made a lot of mistakes, but I liked him on the Lakers. And then the very next trade, they turn around and give up Darrell Arthur, whoever that is, for Jared Dudley to Phoenix. Uh, I'm sure there were picks thrown in there. These players you're not going to use for another player you're not going to use trades always kind of confuse me, but there's some purpose in there somewhere. I don't know. I at least know Jared Dudley's name, but I don't quite understand why Brooklyn thinks they need him. I mean, Jared Allen's been blocking everything that goes up within the court, honestly. And then, of course, the cash or I think it was just cash considerations for Greg Monroe from Toronto. And I still like Greg Monroe. He hasn't been playing great, but I still like Greg Monroe. I guess you could probably teach the young core on that team a few things. You need a veteran presence like that. Charlotte. This one is fun. They have had 5 trades. As far as I can tell, the first 4 trades they made were all before the season started. The 5th one just happened halfway through the season, I think, or somewhere in November. Just I don't remember. And they've had one office change. Steve Clifford they fired for James Brago. I don't know who James Brago is. He seemed to be doing okay with the coaching this year. I never really liked Steve Clifford's coaching, so I'm okay with that decision. I believe this was on draft night. On draft night, they gave Shea Gilgeous-Alexander for Miles Bridges. That trade, and this was to the Clippers. That trade, I don't know if it's because the Clippers aren't a great fit for Shea, but they won that trade. They definitely won that trade. Miles Bridges is looking real nice. I'm kind of excited to see how he develops in the upcoming years, but Miles Bridges is looking good. Have you been watching much Charlotte basketball?
Not really, but
That's
I know
gonna
that Bridges is
that's gonna be
pretty
the
good
one
fit.
thing
So
that's coming up on this podcast is I watch like games that people mark as exciting, or I watch rookies or specific players I care about. I'll watch the Rockets, OKC, I'll watch almost all the rookies, and I'll watch players that are like in the most improved or MVP categories. I think you watch the Rockets, and that's about it.
I watch the Rockets and the Lakers that are on, and
Oh yeah,
then it just depends.
yeah.
Depends on what's on ESPN late when I get home from work.
And the difference here is I can watch stuff at work, so I usually have the highlights and shit playing while I'm at work. So
I can watch some the Watch ESPN app on my phone, but it's practically it at work wise, just bits and pieces.
so the next trade, we already saw this one. Dwight Howard given to Brooklyn for Hamidou Diallo and Timothy Mozgov. We already talked about how that trade went. They turned around and gave Hamidou Diallo to OKC for some picks and cash considerations. Hamidou Diallo's been doing better than expected. Not great, but he's been doing better than expected. He's by no means a bad player. I don't mind having him on OKC. I don't think we're trading him. This next one, they obviously gave some picks for Devonte Graham. Like I said, I like that move just because I like Devonte Graham. I'm going to be following Devonte Graham's career, and I did not want him
Me
on
as well.
Atlanta. I did not want him on Atlanta. We're in the KU area, so if we're talking about Sviatoslav Mikhailuk, Devonte Graham, talking about players like Joel Embiid, then we're watching them. Trust us, we're watching them. And then there's some
Yeah.
guy named Tariq Black who I don't even think's in the league anymore.
He
Yeah,
was a Rocket last year, but as far as I know this year,
he was a
I
bench
don't know where he
rider.
is.
He is a bench rider when he was with you
Yeah.
guys, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Number 3 center still.
Yeah. And then we have them turning around. They turned Timothy Mozgov right around. We gave up Timothy Mozgov and Julian Stone for Bismack Biyombo. So then this brings up who's better, Timothy Mozgov or Bismack Biyombo? I don't know. Actually, I do have the answer to that. I don't care. They're both bloated. They're both bloated contracts. I mean, I don't know the
True.
years that are left on their contract. I would hope, because that the extreme increase in salary should have contracts ending this year. So I would hope that they both fall under that. I believe Timothy Mozgov does. I would hope Biombo does. Otherwise, that trade's just stupid. I would want to take on that contract only if I know their contract expires at the end of the season. Because there's no reason to be paying these players that much money. Timothy Mozgov is a bloated contract. Bismack Biyombo is a bloated contract. Those are two of the like few I remember. One of the most notorious, obviously Timothy Mozgov, but one of the other most notorious is Joakim Noah. Ridiculous contract, and then he just fell off the face of the earth. But I digress. We'll see what comes out of that. Next team up on the list is Chicago, finally getting rid of Fred Hoiberg and hiring on Jim Boylen. Um, I don't know. I don't know how Jim Boylen's really doing. I haven't watched many Chicago games. I know that there have been complaints about Fred Hoiberg for years. I've had to hear it all over the place. I don't know if they like Jim Boylen. I I don't pay much attention to care about it. These are some exciting trades though. They had 6 trades, and one of the more recent ones is going to change the path of this team extremely. The first trade, they gave up Jerian Grant for Julian Stone. All right, it's an all right trade. Changing up your team a little bit. I don't know what they were going for there. I would have to assume there's picks thrown into this trade though. Next up, Justin Holiday given to Memphis for Marshawn Brooks and Wayne Selden Jr. I like that trade. Not only because of Wayne Selden Jr. I like that trade because even though Holiday's been scoring, you have enough other scorers. You have Zach LaVine, you have Lauri Markkanen, you have Jabari Parker. Well, until you trade him later on this list, but you have good scorers. So I'm not sure that Justin Holiday was really a fit. I don't think you need that many options out there. So, and then I believe it was cash and picks that they gave up, but they got Michael Carter Williams from Houston. So, I like that trade for Chicago, and I like that trade for the Rockets. I don't think either team won that trade. MCW
Not
wasn't
really.
necessary for the Rockets. Chicago needs some pieces, and Houston gets some future picks. I like that for both teams.
I like it because he sucked.
Okay, he sucked because he didn't fit your team dynamic. That's the real reason. Because he's not a terrible player. I don't think he's a terrible player. He's going to be a good catch and shoot type player. And then we have, I don't even know who this is. I remember reading it when it happened, and I don't know who it was. Tadija or Tadija Dragicevic, whatever. The important part of this is they got Carmelo Anthony and John Diebler. This is just Houston offloading Carmelo. Chicago was supposedly going to release him. Last time I checked, they hadn't yet. So I don't know what's going on with that. They were supposed to offload him in a trade or just pay him and cut him. But I don't think they've done either yet. At least they hadn't last time I checked. So this
I
was
don't
supposed to be
understand
Carmelo
why.
Anthony's resting place, and it didn't happen.
I don't understand why teams keep trading for him and then releasing him right after.
It's to free up cap space. You give up a player that's making a player or players that are making the same amount as Carmelo Anthony, You release Carmelo Anthony and you pay him the rest of his contract, but then you have that much more money going into free agency. That's the reason. It's just lightweight offloads to get money for the offseason, which, whatever. Eh, I really want to see Carmelo Anthony play again. I don't think he's as bad as he's been playing, but I think he needs to realize that he's not as good as he once was. I'll just leave it at that. All right. Next trade. I believe it was just picks, but picks traded to OKC for Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot. I mistyped his name and didn't put the hyphen there. My bad. Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot, he's looking good. Not so much anymore. I believe he was traded 3 or 4 times this season.
I don't even know who that is.
If you look up his highlights, he was doing all right a couple years back, but I don't know what happened. This last trade this season, I believe this happened on the deadline day. Jabari Parker and Bobby Portis, both players that I thought were essential to Chicago. I was so excited watching Jabari Parker play again. To Washington for Otto Porter, which is crazy because that trade makes it look like Chicago thinks they're going on a run, doesn't it?
I guess.
You're giving up 2 of your younger pieces for a pretty good player, and I, as far as I know right now, they're not looking great in standings, if I'm not mistaken. So it just seemed weird to give up pieces that are probably still going to improve. Like, let's look here. They are 13 and 44. And they gave up Jabari Parker, whose improvement after that tragic injury has been through the roof. They gave up Bobby Portis, which, okay, for Otto Porter. But I I think the Wizards win that. I don't understand what that trade is doing for them other than not getting them the first overall draft pick. I mean, at this point your season's done. You're only 57 games in. You've already lost more than half of the ones you're going to play. Why are you trading up? That's just Chicago's front office right there. All right. Let's move out of Chicago because that made me really sad. Oh, you know what else will make us sad? We're going to Cleveland. You still there, Kyle?
Insert sad music.
At least we're not Detroit, right? So they gave up, I don't know who this is, Vladimir Veremenko, which I believe wasn't an actual trade. It was they were trading rights because it's a player who's still playing overseas, so there's still a possibility he never comes in. For Sam Decker and Ronaldo Sabut, however you say his name, I forget how to say his name. Trade with the Clippers. I don't think any of these players even got used. Sam Decker might be getting used on the team he ended up on after all these trades. Ronaldo Sabutis, I don't think is being used. So that's just a trade for pieces. They gave up Kyle Korver to Utah for Alec Burks. I hate that trade, and it's completely biased.
It's stupid.
I like Kyle Korver as a player. I really like Alec Burks as a player. I probably like Alec Burks more than Kyle Korver. I don't want to see either of them play for Cleveland because god damn, Cleveland's going down on a ball of fire. I think I would rather see Kyle Korver sit there for the end of his career than send Alec Burks there. But I can understand Utah wanting Kyle Korver because they're definitely making a playoff run again, and getting a shooter like that is really important. Oh, I forgot to mention they fired Tyronn Lue. I believe around
At this
the
point, it doesn't really matter.
I believe it was the exact same time they fired the coach for the Browns, because it was like all within the same week they fired the offensive coordinator, the coach, and then the coach of their NBA team also. It's hilarious. For Larry Drew, all right, cool, whatever. The team's dead in the water anyways. Next trade, they gave up George Hill and Sam Decker for Dellavedova and John Henson. Why? I mean, welcome back, Dully, but why? I want to look up their record too, because I don't know these teams' exact records, but I don't understand these teams acting like they still have much of a chance. They are 12 and 45. They barely beat the New York Knicks, who are 10 and 46 yesterday. In fact, they were up by 10 and only won by 3 going into the fourth. Actually, if you want to hear this even better, they were up by 15 going into the half and they only won by 3. So, Jesus. All right, another depressing team. They gave up Rodney Hood. I like that because I really like Rodney Hood. I don't think he was doing much in Cleveland because they weren't letting him. He was going crazy when he was on the Jazz. And I felt bad for the Jazz because they gave up Rodney Hood. They gave up, why am I forgetting his name? Holy shit, I'm blanking on an All-Star's name. They gave up the player who broke his leg in Boston. You know, the one. Whatever.
Gordon Hayward?
Yes. I don't know why I blinked on his name so hard right there. They gave up Rodney Hood and Gordon Hayward very close together, and those were two key players on that team. However, they got back players that are keeping them in the playoff run. I don't think it was a great decision by Utah, but it hasn't hurt them, so I guess it's fine. They gave up Rodney Hood for Wade Baldwin IV and Nick Stauskas from the Trailblazers. I'm kind of excited to see Rodney Hood play for the Trailblazers. However, that trade was just to set up another trade where they would package Alec Burks, thank God he's back out of Cleveland, Wade Baldwin the fourth, and Nick Stauskas for Marquese Chriss and Brandon Knight from Houston. So now your Rockets have Alec Burks. I kind of like that. Wade Baldwin the fourth. Okay. Nick Stauskas. All right. But you gave up Marquese Chriss, who's arguably a good enough power forward, and Brandon Knight, which I'm not really sure how I feel about Brandon Knight, but it's an interesting trade. I don't quite remember if Houston just turned around and traded one or two of those guys, but I believe they did. I guess we'll see. Next up, you have Dallas. So you have the good side of the Trae Young, Luka Doncic trade. We already talked about, you know how we feel. They gave up Shake Milton for Ray Spalding and Kostas Antetokounmpo from Philadelphia. It's kind of sad because the Antetokounmpo brothers were all talking. I think there's 3 of them that all play basketball, and they were talking about how the youngest brother is the best one, and I think this is the middle brother. And I didn't even know he was in the draft this year. I had no clue. But he's in the
Like this
NBA now.
upcoming year?
No, he was
Or are you
in a
talking about
trade.
Costa?
Costas
Okay.
Antetokounmpo. Yeah, he was He was in a trade. I didn't even know he got drafted or picked up.
Yeah, I think he was the last pick.
Really? Damn.
Yeah, probably just because of the last name, but
Yeah, I didn't even know he was in the league. I mean, they always talked about how between the 3 or 4, I don't remember the exact number, how between all of them, the youngest brother was going to be the best, which was crazy because Giannis is the Greek freak. How is the younger brother going to be better than that? But they always talked about how he was the best. He was learning so fast. He was doing better than we were at that age. And then the middle brother, I didn't even know he was coming to the league. It just kind of happened. And then you have the Jonathan Motley and Ronaldo Sabutis trade. The Clippers, which the Clippers obviously turned Ronaldo Sabutis right around. But they got Marty Lunin. These are all really small name trades. Shake Milton for Ray Spalding and Costas. Cool. Jonathan Motley and Ronaldo Sabutis for Marty Lunin. All right. Turn Marty Lunin right around for Chinanu Onaku. Don't know who that is. But okay. Then you get to these last few days, I guess I should say. It's almost been a week. 5 days ago. 5 days ago and 7 days ago. These trades are insane, and we need to talk about them. DeAndre Jordan, Wesley Matthews, and Dennis Smith Jr. for Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, and Kristaps Porzingis. You don't have to be a big NBA fan to know every one of those names. Maybe Dennis Smith Jr. if you haven't been a fan for a year, but all of those names. Those are big names. I don't like this trade for the Knicks. I'm not sure I fully understand what they're going for. Dennis Smith Jr. was becoming cannon fodder to Dallas. I don't remember the exact reason, but there was some disagreement he got in. The team gave up on him. He had good trade value, so they could throw him in and get something big, which they did. DeAndre Jordan, I feel kind of bad watching him get traded. Wesley Matthews, God, I like Wesley Matthews. I hate seeing him get traded to the Knicks. I was hoping to see him in the playoffs this year, but now I'm not, I guess. Dennis Smith Jr.
yeah,
I liked him. I liked him. Hear all around the NBA. Well, I hear all around Dallas that Dennis Smith Jr. is an asshole. So take that with a grain of salt. Trey Burke, I liked him. His career's kind of fading, but I liked him. Tim Hardaway Jr., same thing there. Courtney Lee's all right. They're all good bench pieces, which is what they're going to be. They are all good bench pieces. And then you get Kristaps Porzingis to pair alongside Luka Doncic. Holy shit. When you read all those names out, Luka Doncic, Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, Kristaps Porzingis. I think I hear playoffs. I think I hear a playoff run coming. I think that's what I'm hearing. And then you give up Harrison Barnes. Ouch. Harrison Barnes is a big part of your team. Why you do? Oh, for Justin Jackson and Zach Randolph? Okay. The only bad thing I can see coming from this is the transition period. It can happen when you make huge changes to your lineup. You have a transition period where you need to worry about how these players are going to interact, how they're going to get along. But all I see in these two slots is 6 player names who've made a name for themselves in the NBA. Even more casual fans know all 6 of these names. For all 4 of these names, the players know, but still, this is a playoff, possibly conference final team. And I'm fucking excited to see this in the postseason. I'm going to be watching the Dallas series in full. I can't say enough about that. It's gonna be fucking fun. They still have Maxi Kleber, which he's been doing better. I'm not sure about the Harrison Barnes trade. Zach Randolph, I haven't heard much from him. Justin Jackson is okay. Harrison Barnes seemed to work really well, I thought, but however, you're building a playoff bound team. I like these trades. For Dallas, I don't feel like Sacramento made a mistake. Sacramento got back Harrison Barnes. I feel like that's pretty good. The Knicks, however, DeAndre Jordan's still going to be a good player. Wesley Matthews is probably going to get better. Dennis Smith Jr. is possibly going to get better. But that trade for the Knicks, the Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, Kristaps Porzingis. Okay, they don't have those 4 players anymore. They got 3 new players. Can you name a Knicks player who wasn't in this trade? I can name 2.
Kevin Knox.
Okay,
Um,
there's one
Enes
more that I
Kanter.
can name. I thought Enes Kanter got traded or dropped. Did he get dropped? I think he got dropped.
Well, yeah, but at the time wasn't.
No, I think he got dropped before the trade, didn't he?
Oh damn. Well, rip
Because
him then.
and it was weird because the fan base really liked him, but then they dropped him or something like that. I don't quite remember the full story there. The other one I can remember is Frank Ntilikina, and I don't even fully remember if he's still on that team. I don't know much with the Knicks other than their moves and their trades fucking suck. Their trades have sucked for a while, and making a big name trade like this I don't think is going to help because I can't see this going anywhere but good for Dallas, at least right now. I guess we'll see in the upcoming years if Dennis Smith Jr. and Wesley Matthews become the Knicks, I guess. Next up is Denver. They only had 3 trades, obviously keeping it low key because they have a good team. Gave Justin Jackson to Orlando for Jared Vanderbilt, whatever. Gave Wilson Chandler to Philadelphia for some cash considerations. That's fine. He actually got some playing time in Philadelphia. He was doing pretty well. Gave up Kenneth Reed and Darrell Arthur for Isaiah Whitehead. Again, I said I liked that trade for Denver more than I did for Brooklyn, but Brooklyn's notorious for bad trades. Overall, the Nuggets look like they're making a playoff run, obviously. Everybody knew that coming into the season. It's the sleeper team. They're not sleeping very much, though. They are very comfortable putting their names up there. They've been doing well. Next up, we have Detroit. They fired Stan Van Gundy and hired Dwayne Casey. I didn't agree with Dwayne Casey. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to learn how to talk one of these episodes, don't worry. I didn't understand Dwayne Casey getting fired from Toronto. I mean, I know their reasoning, but I don't agree with it. Jeff Bauer, their GM, was fired, so they have the GM assistant playing GM for them at the moment. I believe they gave up picks for Kyrie Thomas. Not sure about him, but we'll see. They gave up Reggie Bullock and I believe some picks to the Lakers for Svi Mikhailiuk. And the only reason I'm excited about this trade is because I might actually get to see Mikhailiuk play. Mikhailiuk has had playing time, but it hasn't been a lot. I just really want to see Mikhailiuk play. He's a Russian white dude who shoots threes and dunks. What more can you want? And he's a KU player, but and then one big trade, big-ish, I guess. Stanley Johnson, underperforming, okay player, I guess. For Thon Maker, who's underdeveloping, underperforming, okay player, I guess. So that's the biggest move they made. I want to see more out of Thon Maker. I definitely want to say I followed Thon Maker more than I follow Stanley Johnson. So excited to see if anything comes out of that. You got anything to add on any of those players?
Um, just excited to see Svi get some more playing time in Detroit, and I think he's gonna be something special soon.
If he does become something special, they are going to have two special white guys on one team, and we haven't seen that in a long time. All right, we'll leave it at that. Uh, Golden State Warriors. Surprisingly, they did nothing. I don't even think they're allowed to do anything because they're over the curtain. I'm pretty sure they're paying their players so goddamn much that they're paying the luxury tax and in trouble on certain things. But it doesn't matter when they're winning rings every single year like they're going to again this year, so whatever. They didn't make any moves though. Big surprise. The Rockets. 7 fucking trades. Now, not all of them are important, but still 7 fucking trades. And I have to say, as of right now, if I had to pick what team is winning the season based on trades, I'd pick the Rockets. I've looked through the spreadsheet a few times. I think the Rockets are winning. If you look at the Rockets, you have a playoff bound team. You have 2 great players on the team. Are they going to win it all? Probably not,
3 great players.
but they are pretty damn good. And if they can hold out and keep a pretty good team, yeah, sorry, I wasn't counting Clint Capella. I know, my bad. You want to keep your team good for as long as you can, so when the Golden State Warriors inevitably fizzle out, you still have a good team. Shinanu Anaku for Marty Lunin. Whatever, doesn't matter. Ryan Anderson, good to dump him off, and DeAnthony Melton for Brandon Knight and Marquise Chris. I'm good with that. I would prefer either of those players alone over Ryan Anderson, but both of them's pretty good. Uh, they gave up Michael Carter Williams for a pick, which is good, looking toward the future. They gave Carmelo Anthony and John Diebler for Tadihad Dragicevic, whatever that fucking guy. That guy's probably not going to get any playing time in the league, and he's just going to be known as the guy who was traded for Carmelo Anthony. How much you want to bet?
Probably.
Should I know that guy's name? I have no clue.
No.
They gave up Marquise Chris and Brandon Knight for Wade Baldwin IV, Nick Stauskas, and Mon Shumpert, which, when you look at this trade, looks like great. You got some shitty players, but you got a Mon Shumpert, so I guess that's okay. They turn around and get rid of those shit players and Marty Lunin, who they received earlier, for some cash considerations because they're looking into the offseason. They're going to pick up some free agents, right? And they gave
Gotta
up
hope
James
so.
Ennis III for some picks. Holy shit. This team is going to be scary. I'm talking, oh no, what if Chris Paul leaves in free agency? Who gives a shit? Let's draft someone, let's go to the free agency. Oh no, it's been a few years and Clint Capella's on the end of his rookie contract. You've made like 3 draft picks at that point. You're fine. You're looking good. This team is gonna be big. They just are. They're gonna be big. And I hate to tell you that your team probably won, but I can't lie to you. I think your team won. It pisses me off a little bit. But I like James Harden, so I guess whatever. He's not MVP though. He's not MVP though. You you can win you can win the season on trades, but he's not the MVP, so it's fine. It's fine. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the MVP, but we'll have that talk in a different episode. We're all right now. Uh, I don't know why that says 0. It shouldn't, but I believe they gave up. I mean, you just saw the trade on the last one. They gave up cash, I believe, for Wade Baldwin, Nick Stauskas, and Marty Lunin. The Pacers, I'm not sure, need them. They didn't get rid of them before the trade deadline. I'm not sure if you need them, but Okay. The Pacers haven't been that exciting. The Clippers. Holy shit, 8 trades. They made 8 trades. Um, let me just go through them. Miles Bridges for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Probably looked better at the time. Didn't work out. Gilgeous-Alexander's not doing great, but overall your whole team's not doing great. So they gave up Austin Rivers for Marcin Gortat. I mean, Gortat's always going to be Gortat, so I guess it's okay. Austin Rivers has been underperforming to what he was expected to be doing, and no longer have Daddy protecting you now that you're off the team. So they gave up Marty Lunin for Motley and Sabutis. Okay, whatever. Gave up Sam Decker and Sabutis for Vierminko. Whatever. They gave up Wesley Johnson for Alexis Ajinça. Okay. I feel like the Pelicans win that one, but all right, Clippers. This is the fun one. Here we go. Tobias Harris, Boban Marjanovic, and Mike Scott to Philadelphia for Wilson Chandler, Mike Muscala, and Landry Shamet. Who wins this trade? I guess that's the argument. Who wins this trade?
You know who wins this trade.
Philadelphia wins this trade.
Exactly.
I would say there's a debate for the Clippers winning this trade, but then that debate is completely wiped away when they turn around and trade Mike Muscala right away. I mean, they got back Michael Beasley, but Michael Beasley is having the Linsanity thing. Oddly enough, from
And
the
they
Knicks
released him.
also. Oh yeah, Michael Beasley. Oh, holy shit. He's stepping up. He's stepping up on the Knicks. He's gonna be big. Man, we've heard this before. Whatever happened to that guy who stepped up big for the Knicks? Where is he now? Oh, he got
He
released?
just got traded.
Huh. Well, damn. Is he doing anything over there? Playing third string? Okay. Man, heard that somewhere before, except Lynn's still starting for some reason. Whatever. Uh, and Ivica Zubac, he was supposed to be better. I think the Lakers win that one because I would rather have Muscala over either of those two. And then they give up Avery Bradley for JaMychal Green and Garrett Temple. I like Garrett Temple. I'm okay with JaMychal Green, but why are you giving up Avery Bradley? This all this reads to me, this whole list is the Clippers. The Clippers want to be a lottery pick. What's their record? I should check that. What is their record? They are 31 and 27. They have a chance for a good season still. But this this looks like a team who doesn't want to have a playoff run to me. I think the Clippers are not doing something right. I don't know who's in that front office, but good God. Lakers. I believe they gave up cash considerations for Isaac Bonga from Philadelphia. I'm okay with that trade. I think Isaac Bonga is doing all right. Mikhailuk given up for Reggie Bullock. Again, I like that trade. I like it for both teams because I think the Lakers are going to look good with Reggie Bullock. And then they also made the Michael Beasley Ivica Zubac trade for Mike Muscala. The Lakers are obviously looking to make a run. Reggie Bullock and Mike Muscala, both within the last week, the Lakers are looking to make a run. They're looking to look scary again. We knew they were going to get to the playoffs anyways, so making these trades doesn't mean they're going to win. Do these trades beat the Warriors, Kyle?
No.
All right, well you heard it right there. They're not beating. They're not beating the Warriors. Memphis. Oh, good God. They gave up Deontay Davis and Ben McLemore for Garrett Temple. I'm okay with that trade. I hate saying that because I like Ben McLemore, KU player for any of you that don't know. But I like Garrett Temple. I think Garrett Temple's a good player. I think he's better than people are giving him credit for. They gave up Jarrell Martin for Dakari Johnson and Tyler Harvey. I think that was stupid on Orlando's part. I think that's a good trade for Memphis. Marshawn Brooks and Wayne Selden Jr. for Justin Holiday. I can understand why that looks like a good trade for Memphis, but I don't like it. I don't like it for either team. That's just me because that was the trade with Chicago. They gave up Shelvin Mack for Tyler Dorsey. Okay. Missed a trade with Atlanta. Michael Green and Garrett Temple. Hate that they turned Garrett Temple around. I feel like he could have done really good for Memphis. They got back Avery Bradley, though. And poor Avery Bradley getting thrown everywhere. Like high commodity because no one respects good defenders anymore. Avery Bradley is still a top tier defender. Avery Bradley is still first or second team all defense. He is. But he gets traded around like he's nothing. And I'm not sure I understand that. And then, and this is where Memphis loses me as a fan at all, they gave up Marc Gasol. Why would you give up Marc Gasol? Marc Gasol, as far as I know, is your poster child for Jonas Valanciunas, DeLon Wright, and CJ Miles. I hate that they gave up Marc Gasol. I think they won that trade, though. I spelled Valanciunas' name wrong also. Sorry about that. But I think they won that trade. I don't understand what Toronto's getting out of that trade. There might be picks and something else mixed into this, but I'm okay with that trade. For Memphis, anyways, not for Toronto. Miami, we have one trade. They gave up Wayne Ellington and Tyler Johnson for Ryan Anderson. I believe that happened the last week of the trade deadline. And obviously you're looking to offload. I can't imagine Miami actually wants Ryan Anderson on the team. Any clue what their record is?
Nope.
And I can understand giving up Tyler Johnson because you've had some other players like Justice Winslow stepping up. So I can kind of understand giving up Tyler Johnson. They are 25 and 30. Okay. I understand giving up Tyler Johnson and Wayne Ellington as long as you're dropping Ryan Anderson. I can't imagine you actually want Ryan Anderson on your team. It's going to be kind of cool to see Tyler Johnson in Phoenix, though, and Wayne Ellington. So, good trade for Phoenix. Probably a good trade for the Heat. We'll see. Milwaukee, only 3 trades. Mike Budenholzer is back, so Joe Prunty is no longer the head coach. So that's good, I guess. Jody Meeks, I believe, was for picks and cash consideration. I like Jody Meeks moving to Milwaukee. Gave up Matthew Dellavedova and John Henson for George Hill and Jason Smith. I like that trade. You're getting some veterans in there. You need those when you get to playoff time. I like Dellavedova, but I don't think he's ever been a playoff performer. And John Henson, as far as I'm concerned, has been underperforming. So anything you get for him is probably pretty good. And they turned Jason Smith right around in the Thon Maker trade to get Nikola Mirotic, who is another playoff performer. Overall, I like the trades. I like the trades that Milwaukee made. They're looking like a playoff team. Milwaukee and Dallas are looking scary. Minnesota had one trade. Well, okay, let's first. Tom Thibodeau has finally been fired. Thank God Tom Thibodeau was finally fired. If Tom Thibodeau wasn't there to begin with, you might still have Jimmy Butler. Just saying. But finally, Tom Thibodeau's been fired. He can no longer ruin young players' careers. Rest in peace, Derrick Rose. Um, However, Derrick Rose is having a comeback. They hired Ryan Saunders. Don't really know the guy very well, but I'm glad Tom Thibodeau's gone because, oh my God, he was killing his players. You have Jimmy Butler and Justin Patton for Robert Covington, Dario Saric, Jared Bayless. Obviously, right as of right now, Philadelphia has won this trade. However, I like Robert Covington. I don't see him improving anymore, though. Dario Saric is probably going to get better and better. Gerard Bayless is just thrown in there, obviously. Same with Justin Patton. I think in the long run, Philadelphia still wins this trade. I am excited, though, to see Dario Saric improve. Any input? Because I know it's a
Not
big
really,
trade
but
you kind of kept track of.
I think y'all got to all the points that I was gonna
Well,
hit
yeah,
up. So
we usually have pretty similar views when it comes to the NBA. Pelicans. All
they didn't trade
this,
AD.
they did not trade AD. I was kind of excited to see who AD went to.
They're
They did not
stupid.
trade him. They're not
They're
stupid.
stupid.
They're not stupid.
They wouldn't take the biggest deal that they could have from the Lakers. The three young players and multiple first round draft picks
How,
for AD that's going to leave them this year in free agency.
however, the trades they made were pretty good. Alexis Aginsler for Wesley Johnson. I don't like that trade for either team, but okay. They turned Wesley Johnson around for Markieff Morris. I'm okay with that. I think Markieff Morris is better than he gets credit for. That's not just because he's a KU player. I don't really have that much of a bias toward the Morris brothers. I think Markieff Morris is better than he gets credit for. He's a good defender. He's a pretty solid post player. Is he the worst of the two brothers? Yeah, but I'm okay with that. Nikola Mirotic for Stanley Johnson and Jason Smith. All right. I mean, I like Stanley Johnson being there. I feel like the Pelicans are setting up for kind of a restart without AD. It is dumb that they didn't trade AD. I'm glad he wasn't traded to the Lakers. I would have hated that. But they probably should have traded him. I'm glad the Lakers didn't get AD, but I'm also kind of sad AD didn't get traded. You hate seeing a player who's sad with their situation. New York Knicks, it's that Kristaps Porzingis trade. We've already talked about it. Jeff Hornacek fired. David Fizdale hired. Why? I don't know. Hornacek's been a bad coach as of late. David Fizdale, I don't know how that's going to improve your team. Granted, I don't know what coaches you had to choose from. Maybe David Fizdale was the only one that really cared to coach the shitstorm that is the Knicks. Clearly, it's not working out because your team still sucks. And now you made a major trade, and hopefully it turns around, but I doubt it. OKC Thunder, 5 trades. We got Hamidou Diallo for some picks. Love it. Love that trade. Dakari Johnson for Rodney Purvis. Whatever. Rodney Purvis for Abdel Nader. Awesome. Abdel Nader, good bench player. I think he's developing all right. I'm excited to see him in the future. Carmelo Anthony for Dennis Schroeder and Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot. Dennis Schroeder has been fucking great. Has he been as good as he was expected to be at this point in his career? Probably not. He is looking good, though. Love having Dennis Schroeder on the team. Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot then given up for a pick. Fine. He wasn't doing anything anyways. He was just thrown into a pick, or he was just thrown into a trade. So if we can get a pick out of him, that's not bad. Orlando gave up Jared Vanderbilt for Justin Jackson. I like that trade for both teams. So I don't got much to say there. They gave up Bismack Biyombo's bloated contract for Jerian Grant and Timothy Mozgov. I'm sure that they're going to drop Timothy Mozgov's contract, not re-sign him. Or if they do re-sign him, it's going to be for much, much less because Mozgov's not that good of a player. Ronnie Purvis for Dakari Johnson. We just talked about that. It's an trade. They turned Dakari Johnson right around with Tyler Harvey. I don't even know who that is for Jarrell Martin for Memphis. Again, an trade. And then the only trade that really seems to matter that much, Jonathan Simmons for Markelle Fultz. Why does this matter? Because I still believe in Markelle Fultz. I want to
I don't.
believe. I want to believe.
It's over.
It's not over. It's not over. I watched Markelle Fultz in college. He was one of the few college players I actually cared to watch. The same way I'm watching Zion, the same way I'm watching Mac McClung, even though Mac McClung is looking like shit. I'm excited about Markelle Fultz, and I really don't want him to be a dud. I forgot to throw in there they fired Frank Vogel for Steve Clifford. I'm okay with that. It's the Magic. They need whatever they can get at this point. Any more complaints about Markelle Fultz?
Um, Not really, but it's getting to a little bit late, and my phone's about to die. So, is there any way we could do this into a part two?
Are you alright with me finishing up alone?
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Because we passed your team. There is 8 left. So I'll just run through them real quick.
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that.
Alright, well, you have a good one, man.
All right, I'm out.
Alright, mid podcast shift change. We're going to be down to one person. And the layout is going to look fucked, I think. I think I can fix that. I'll find it out. I don't edit these, so you're seeing all this live. Next team, Philadelphia. 12 fucking trades. 12 trades and an office change. That was Brian Colangelo uh, mutually resigning for his fuck up. That was actually his wife, but it probably wasn't. They gave up Michael Bridges for Zero Smith. I mean, that was just obviously foresight is 2020. Kyrie Thomas for some picks. I'm okay with that one. Ray Spalding and Costas Antetokounmpo for Shake Milton. I mean, whatever. Isaac Bonga for picks and cash. I like that better for the Lakers. Picks and cash are probably pretty good for Philadelphia looking into the future because they have a pretty solid team right now. I did like Isaac Bonga though, so I guess I'll have to watch the Lakers now. They got Wilson Chandler. Wilson Chandler was doing pretty well. I thought probably not as good as they expected him to, but he was doing all right. They gave up Raquan Holmes for some cash considerations. All right. Timothy Luwawu Cabarro and Justin Anderson for Mike Muscala, who becomes important here in a minute. Robert Covington, Dario Saric, Jared Bayless for that Jimmy Butler trade we talked about, which Philly is obviously winning that trade right now, but Dario Saric is going to be a menace, mark my words. Wilson Chandler, Mike Muscala, and Landry Shamet for Tobias Harris, Boban Marjanovic, and Mike Scott. I like this trade for Philadelphia better than I like it for the Clippers. I don't know what they're expecting from Wilson Chandler. They turned Mike Muscala right around. Landry Shamet's a bench player. He probably will be for a good portion of his career. Tobias Harris is good right now. Boban is a fucking giant. Mike Scott is in the trade because he has to be. They didn't give up a player, but they got Malachi Richardson, Emir Prelzik, and they got James Ennis III. Both of those probably with picks and cash considerations. They gave up Markelle Fultz, obviously not rounding out to what he was supposed to be at this time in his career with that shoulder or nerve injury that he's been dealing with. So we'll see how that comes up in the future. They received Jonathan Simmons, who I'm kind of okay with. This is a good team. To see them make 12 trades is kind of insane, but they are a good team. This trade has been very important. This trade is going to be very important. We'll see what happens in the postseason. Phoenix makes 5 trades, 2 office changes. The interim coach is back out. Kokoskov has returned. Ryan McDonough has been fired. James Jones is the interim GM at the moment. I don't know what McDonough did, but he got fired. So Zaire Smith giving up for Michael Bridges, or Mikal Bridges. I think that's worked out better for Phoenix than it has for Philadelphia as of right now, but we will see what happens in the future with Zaire Smith. Jared Dudley for Darrell Arthur. Again, I don't really know Darrell Arthur. Guess I'll have to look up Darrell Arthur. They got Raquan Holmes for, I believe it was picks and cash, or just cash. It's just cash considerations. They got they gave up Brandon Knight and Marquise Chris for Ryan Anderson and DeAnthony Melton. Obviously, Ryan Anderson is just trade value for Wayne Ellington and Tyler Johnson, and I'm excited to see Wayne Ellington and Tyler Johnson play in Phoenix. I like the Heat. I like the Suns. I think the Suns are going to be a more exciting place to see Tyler Johnson play. The Heat are in a weird transitional period. The Suns are in more of a building now period, and I'm excited to see what Tyler Johnson can do for that franchise. We have Portland Trailblazers. They got Gary Trent Jr. Don't know much about him. Not going to say much because I don't know what's going on. They gave up Wade Baldwin in the fourth and Nick Stauskas, who got traded, I believe, 3 or 4 times during this period for Rodney Hood. I like it. They gave up Caleb Swan again for Scala Bissiere. I like that trade for both teams. Not much to say about it. Portland, little improvements, but are they a playoff contender? No. Should Damian Lillard probably get more help? Or is Damian Lillard the problem? That's a debate for you Trailblazer fans to have. Sacramento. Gary Trent Jr. given for picks and cash. We saw that. Garrett Temple given up for Deontay Davis and Ben McLemore. I want to see Ben McLemore play, hopefully. So, Amon Shumpert given up for Alec Burks. Cleveland won that, and Amon Shumpert was turned right around also. So, I believe the Rockets have Amon Shumpert right now. I like Amon Shumpert. I like Alec Burks. So, I guess we'll see what happens with all that. I think Cleveland won that because they got some good trade value out of them. Justin Jackson, Zach Randolph for Harrison Barnes. I like that for Sacramento. Zach Randolph is all right. Well, Zach Randolph's not all right. Zach Randolph is good. Zach Randolph is good. Justin Jackson's all right. Harrison Barnes is good. I like this better for Sacramento because I'm not sure how Zach Randolph's going to work out in Dallas, but we'll see. Scalabus here for Caleb Swan again. We already talked about this. I like this trade for both teams. Spurs. Sorry if I'm going a little fast. Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard for DeMar DeRozan and Jacob Poeltl. This trade was insane. This trade changed the face of both of these franchises. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard had falling out with the Spurs. They also had to throw Danny Green in there, and I liked Danny Green as a player. He was a great bench player to have. DeMar DeRozan, Jacob Poeltl, both important players on Toronto. It's a crazy trade. The Spurs right now look to be coming out on top. Kawhi Leonard isn't the player he once was, but he is still dominating. I'm not even sure if it's Kawhi Leonard isn't the player he once was. I think it's the fact that Kawhi Leonard and DeMar DeRozan looked more or less comparable at the time of the trade, but DeMar DeRozan, whether it's out of spite or anger, has just extended. It's extended. Extended is not the right word. He's reaching a new power level. Let's just leave it at that. He is becoming something menacing, and I think Toronto's starting to realize their mistake. Obviously, Toronto apologized to DeMar later because DeMar was convinced that he was not going to be traded, or he was told so. And then, of course, that's not what ended up happening. Kawhi Leonard, we knew was going to be traded at some point. We didn't know for what. But DeMar DeRozan has been on fire. Toronto, obviously the same. DeMar DeRozan, Kawhi Leonard trade. Kawhi Leonard not looking as good as DeMar DeRozan has, and Danny Green is looking all right for Toronto. They gave up Malachi Richardson and Amo Pratt. That guy, I'm gonna stop saying the foreign names because I'm fucking them up for some cash considerations. Greg Monroe for cash considerations, and Jonas Valanciunas, Delon Wright, and CJ Miles for Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol is gonna look good for this team. Jonas Valanciunas going away. I'm not sure I like that. Jonas has been good and good and good. Also giving up CJ Miles. He's an okay bench piece, and DeLon Wright. I mean, For Marc Gasol, that's an iffy one. And they fired Dwayne Casey and they have Nick Nurse. I hate that. I can understand it. And it might there might be other things that factor into this other than just the playoff losses, but that seemed to be at the time the main reasons that they were giving them up. And I don't like that being the main reasons. Nick Nurse has been doing all right though. So I can at least give him that. Utah Jazz, Alec Burks for Kyle Korver. That was it. And as I've said, I don't really like either of these teams going the trade. I think I'd rather see Alec Burks on Utah, and I'd rather see Kyle Korver in Cleveland. But I can understand the trade. Kyle Korver is going to be a great piece for Utah going into the playoffs. Alec Burks is going to a team that is not going to use him properly. So I feel bad for Alec Burks. I feel good for the Utah Jazz. That's all I can say. The Wizards made 5 trades. The Marcin Gortat for Austin Rivers trade. That was crazy. Uh, I, I I really don't go either way with this trade. I'm okay with both these players. I would not be opposed to having either of these players on my team. Jody Meeks for cash considerations. I'm okay with that. I've not been a fan of Jody Meeks lately. Jason Smith for Sam Decker. I mean, if you want Sam Decker on your team for some reason. Otto Porter for Jabari Parker and Bobby Portis. I like this better for the Wizards than I do for Chicago. I don't understand why Chicago needs Otto Porter. I'm okay with the Wizards getting Jabari Parker and Bobby Portis. Markieff Morris for Wesley Johnson. I'm okay with this trade because Markieff Morris has not been working out great. By no means has he been bad for the team. He is a good player. He has been a good player for the team. Wesley Johnson is a pretty good player, and I'm excited to see Markieff Morris on the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans got a better deal out of the trade. And I think we can leave it at that. So, let me go ahead and turn that off. And let's get back to it. I'm no longer in a call, so that screen doesn't matter. So, we'll stay on this screen. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry about the messy kind of formatting. I don't really have time to edit these videos. We hardly have any time to record them. We've been busy. Kyle's been moving. Matt's busy with school. I've been busy with school and work, and we only really record really late at night. In fact, he had to go because it is currently 1:30 in the morning. So that's why this is all kind of messy. I don't really have time to edit these, get uploaded pretty much right after we record them. So I hope you heard our opinions, and I hope if you agreed or disagreed with some of our opinions that you commented down below, or you commented your personal opinions. If you're a fan of any of these teams, I want to hear your opinions on some of the important trades your team made. If your team made no trades, I want to hear how you think your team's doing and if they should have made a trade. I especially want to hear people's opinions on the Anthony Davis no trade, and if you think Anthony Davis should have gone to the Lakers. There's a few reasons why I think he shouldn't have. I think it would be good for the Lakers. I think it would be good for Anthony Davis. I think it would be bad for the league. I think it would be pointless. I think Anthony Davis would leave after his first year there. But I would not know, so I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. Please comment down below, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do. We are going to upload more and more of these as time goes on. This is probably the longest break we are going to have between 2 videos, hopefully for a while. He moved, I think it was 3 days after we recorded that last video, and it took 2 days to move, and then we've been stuck with work and school for the last couple days. So hopefully we get out videos faster than this last time, but I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and we will see you next time. Peace.